Well, welcome everyone to the very first 21st Century Community Learning Center National Technical Assistance Center Huddle, where we come together for a quick webinar to share with you things that can be useful to you and your programs. I think I heard Karen ask how long this session is, and these huddles are brief. They're 30-minute sessions where we will highlight great resources, share bite-sized pieces of information, explore the latest research, and more. I'm going to share my screen. So, did you know that April is Financial Literacy Month? Today, we're going to be taking a look at some resources to implement during the remainder of April, but also beyond the month of April. Before we take a look at those, though, we have a disclaimer for you.
This resource was developed in 2024 by the Nita M. Lowy 21st Century Community Learning Center's 21st CCLC National Technical Assistance Center, NTAC, funded under a grant from the U.S. Department of Education Department and administered by Synergy Enterprises Incorporated under Cooperative Agreement Number 287E230009 with the Department's Office of Elementary and Secondary Education. Opinions expressed herein do not necessarily reflect the position or policy of the department, nor does mention of trade names, commercial products, or organizations imply endorsement by the department or the federal government. This resource is in the public domain and is available at 21stcclcntac.org. Authorization to reproduce it in whole or in part is granted.
The 21st CCLC NTAC is to support everyone who plays a role in the implementation of 21st CCLC programs so that you can engage and empower students and their families. We do this by providing evidence-based resources and professional learning opportunities that build capacity of stakeholders. The 21st CCLC NTAC has multiple priority areas, one of which is financial literacy. So we're glad to be discussing it today. In 21st CCL programs, our goal is to help stakeholders lead productive and successful lives. And a key element of that is the knowledge and skills necessary to manage one's finances. But opportunities to learn that knowledge and those skills are often unavailable during the school day. So 21st CCLC programs can fill that gap. In short, financial literacy is not typically part of the school day curriculum in many states. And as a result, the existing need for financial literacy is not being met. But this is where we come in as out-of-school time programs. We can offer programs to supplement what is already offered during the school day and also include new, exciting programming for which children who lack access to financial education during the school day. Economic education as early as possible can help set children up for success early on. This may help them prevent a lot of the problems we see that are common in the USA, such as having debt, living paycheck to paycheck, lack of savings, etc. Some of these probably resonate with you. But first, before we dive into those, I'd like to take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Brittany Stanton, and I am a Technical Assistance Liaison with NTAC. My background is in education, having spent 7 years in the classroom and then the past 5 or so years in out-of-school time programming. And I'd like to have Shanika, my colleague, introduce herself.
Good day, everyone. My name is Shanika. I serve as the Senior Technical Assistance Liaison for the 21st CCLC NTAC. I'm happy to be here with you all. Now, prior to my time supporting 21st CCLC programs, I served as lead teacher in a year-round extended day boarding school for kids as young as 3 years old all the way up to 8th grade. I also served as an intervention coordinator for our residential life program. And then most currently, I've done some work with high schoolers supporting their career development over this summertime. Happy to be with everyone today.
Thanks, Shanika. So let's jump in. What is financial literacy? Well, according to the U.S. Department of Education, financial literacy refers to the understanding of earning, managing, and investing money, and has a critical impact on a student's ability to make sound financial decisions. The bottom line is that mastering financial literacy is important for future success. National Financial Literacy Month takes place each year in April to raise awareness of the importance of financial literacy and maintaining smart money habits for all, but especially our young people. The goal is to help students and their families understand financial concepts that will help them manage their money when they become adults. So today we want to highlight some trusted tools and materials curated by the NTAC team aimed at empowering students with essential financial knowledge and skills. So we are going to begin by exploring our own experiences with financial literacy, as well as reviewing some of those resources and ideas for you to use in your programs to help your students and their families build a healthy financial future. Before we take a look at resources, we'd love to hear from you about what you have done in your programs around financial literacy. First, think back on your own formative years. What kind of financial literacy education did you receive? Was it taught in school, or was it something you learned at home? Perhaps you just had to figure it out on your own as an adult. So thinking back, and since we're such a small group, we'd love to hear from you if you're comfortable going unmuted and sharing some of your personal experiences learning about financial literacy. Or you can pop answers in the chat. But what was your experience? How did you learn about financial literacy?
I had a piggy bank, just like that one. Actually, mine was clear, and I was so excited to get it. And my sister and I were close in age, so we often did work for neighbors, and my sister would hire us to do things because she was a lot older than us and had a job already. And we would put our money away in our piggy bank, and then we would get it out and count it every once in a while. And I remember a lot of financial literacy education came from my family, my mother, and how she did things. And it was just assumed that you would get a job and you would work for money. We weren't given any kind of what I guess they call it, like an allowance or anything like that. It was you had to work if you wanted money. And so that was how I learned about financial literacy. But I didn't learn about loans and college things from anybody other than exploring it all myself. I remember having to fill out the forms for my mom because she didn't know how to do those.
Thank you, Lorraine, for sharing. Karen, did I see you raise your hand?
Yes. No, we didn't have any kind of learning about that when we were coming up. Unfortunately, I've worked ever since I was 14 years old, but our parents never taught us or involved us in financial things such as that. And I actually didn't start learning anything about it until about age 19 when I got married. And then you kind of learn the hard way then.
Yeah, and I feel like that probably resonates with a lot of people where you reach adulthood and that's when you start to figure things out for better or for worse. So in the chat, Jimmy shared that I believe you're referencing that this is something you use in your current program, that you had Everfee, the TN Financial Network, who provided some great resources to the program. That's wonderful that you had that resource, and actually leads me to the next question. But before I get there, I also have a comment here from Nikki, who said that consumer economics was offered in high school. And I think that reflecting back on my own experiences, there was a financial literacy course offered, but it wasn't required. So I didn't take it. And although there were things like savings that my parents tried to instill in me, but it wasn't something that was really taught. It was that piggy bank mentality that you tuck some dollars away, but never like a why or how or best ways to do it. What about you, Shanika? Do you have any experiences?
Absolutely. I learned about finances with my mom. And funny thing is, she didn't have a piggy bank. She put all of her money under her mattress. Sometimes I would find it funny, seeing her balance her mattress on top of her head, pulling some things out if I needed like some extra change to go on a field trip. So that was really interesting. But she also taught me how to help her balance her checkbook. So, like what many of you have shared today, this is something that financial literacy is something that we sometimes pick up from experience or what we see around us with our family. But again, it's not easily accessible as a young child growing up or even a high schooler. So it's a telltale sound, a great sign to see that everyone is here today because we definitely have a lot of great resources to share. But I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Brittany, for that second question.
Yes, our second question has to do about what you're actually doing in your programs. So, what are you currently offering? What are some things that you've tried or maybe are doing to reinforce financial literacy skills in a different way? And I do want to piggyback over to Jimmy. You shared a link. I'm wondering, Jimmy, would you be able to unmute and just tell us a little bit about this resource?
Yes, it's a free resource offered to us, and it's through the Tennessee Financial Literacy Network as well. And we have had several PDs in the past. Now, I've not heard of any in the last year or so, but the website is still very active. I shared that in the chat. But it's an excellent resource because it handles high school, middle school, elementary school, and it has individual lessons using computer generated scenarios that the kids work through, setting up lemonade stands and such, which, by the way, we're doing the Lemonade Day as well, which teaches about financial literacy here at our schools. So, but anyway, the EverFi is an excellent site.
Well, thank you so much for sharing it. We'll definitely take a look at that. And I imagine that people, even outside of Tennessee, could probably benefit from some of the resources. Anybody else? Oh, thank you, Jimmy, so much. Is there anybody else that would like to share what they're doing in their programs? Well, I can tell you, it's definitely a hard thing to try to incorporate. I remember doing it by bringing in community partners whenever I was running programs. But it can be a hard thing to wrap your head around whenever there's so many other priorities. So hopefully some of the resources that we're going to take a look at today will help with this. And so I'm going to hand it over to Shanika, who's going to talk us through some of the resources that are available.
Absolutely. And Jimmy, you actually brought up a great point around having resources to support instruction, right, in our programs or in our classrooms. So the first resource we'd like to highlight is the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC. It's an independent agency established by Congress to maintain stability and public confidence in the nation's financial system. Now, the FDIC ensures deposits, examines, and supervises financial institutions for safety, consumer protection, and much, much more. They have a program called Money Smart for Young People. This is a resource developed by the FDIC. This includes guides for teachers, handouts for students, real-life exercises, and more to help you build that financial literacy in your students. These are 4 age-appropriate curricula to promote that financial literacy understanding. And all of the activities here are designed for pre-kindergarten all the way through 12th grade students for educators to use for free, right? We always love those free resources. Now, each curriculum includes multiple lessons that can be taught either alone or in combination. There are some ideas for grade level modification. There are real life exercises and examples. There's some suggestions for optional books and online games and tools that can reinforce a student's understanding. There are ideas to integrate into existing academic subjects such as English, math, and even social studies. And of course, there are much, much more within this resource. Now, there is another resource covered under the FDIC, and it kind of back to what a lot of programs are doing to tie in financial literacy activities to engage their youth and families. So there is one resource called Organizing Reality Fairs, right? You've heard of science fairs and career fairs, but have you really ever heard of a reality fair, right? So a reality fair is an expo style event that provides youth with an interactive experience for making real world financial decisions and managing money. So students experience what it is like to have a bank account or obtain loans, manage debt, and much, much more. This could also be tailored to various age groups, but would be a great opportunity for our high schoolers to get that real world practice and familiarity as soon as they are able to take on a part-time job or apply for financial aid and take on more adult financial responsibilities. Now, the FDIC created this guide to organizing a reality fair to help in planning and executing a fair. So this toolkit includes a number of things. It includes planning checklists, room layouts, sample letters to students, caregivers, and volunteers. And it also includes materials for use during the event, right? So how do these reality fairs really work? So with reality fairs, generally that includes following a number of steps. So at the beginning of the fair, students receive a profile for the event. These profiles are fictitious, of course, fictitious identities, and it includes details on their profession, monthly earnings, and other financial details. The profile also includes a blank monthly spending and saving plan or a budget. You, as the organizer, explain how the fair will operate, what participants will gain from the experience, and information about the logistics of the fair. Reality fairs are generally held in large rooms with about a dozen booths. Each booth represents an element of an adult's financial life. So, for example, there may be a booth on transportation that may give students various transportation options with different costs to consider. As students attend each booth, they enter information in their profiles, including their spending and saving plans. During the fair, the decisions the participants make at the booths affect their financial situation. Students complete their profiles by visiting as many booths as possible before the organizer or designee announces the end to simulated portion of the fair. At the very end of the event, groups of students discuss what they've learned while visiting the booths. Discussion questions can also prompt participants to share how they plan to use the knowledge and skills they gained during the event. So it's very, very engaging. Now, another awesome resource to tie in that hands-on activity is the hands-on banking, right? So again, this is another great resource. It's a financial education program that can help families learn more about money management. This is a public resource and it's provided by Wells Fargo, and it helps families to take charge of their finances. This is a fantastic resource for families as a whole. You can introduce families to this extensive webpage at your next family math night or resource fair. Some topics that you are seeing right now includes banking, cars, credits and loans, goal setting, investing, money management, and investment, including some small business there, right? There are multiple categories to choose from, like preparing for a rainy day, managing day-to-day finances, and resources for youth. Now, you can also use the after high school page to help high school students make a strong start to their financial life by creating a spending plan, right? Starting work and how continuing education after high school supports their financial future. Now, this resource walks students through the decision-making process in preparation for leaving high school, as well as understanding financial aid and student loan repayment, right? That's always a big one that we hear with our older youth. Now, another resource, and this resource is something that I'm familiar with as well, especially my time as a senior in high school, is the Junior Achievement USA, right? We always hear from programs that there is a need for more content that aligns with the school day. It teaches real world skills and always a need for more hands-on deck during programming. Well, what if there was a resource that could do all of those things, right? And that's where Junior Achievement USA comes in, which, by the way, it's a nonprofit that engages volunteers to help young people in school classrooms and after school locations. They bring quality volunteers from the community into your classroom to deliver proven hands-on programming on financial literacy, work readiness, and entrepreneurship that inspires students to understand the opportunities provided by connecting what is learned in the classroom to the outside world. Now, they also offer free online courses on topics like business, planning, car ownership, and tons more. You can even narrow your search a little bit by filtering for specific age groups, including elementary, middle school, and high school. There are courses, topics that include financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and again, that work readiness. It's incredibly easy to find appropriate resources for all of your students, as each is classified with the level of focus needed and the environment, such as in person during the classroom, inside of the classroom, or after school, or even virtually. Now, all of these resources were all collected by the 21st CCLC National Technical Assistance Center, right? Your friends from NTAC. So I'm sure that sometimes as program leaders, you find yourself looking for like a quick read on emerging trends in the out of school time arena, or innovative ideas from colleagues and useful tips for research and practice. Well, the 21st CCLC NTAC Energizer, or our blog, and the NTAC Messenger, our newsletter, have the inside track on all these things. And so we have a combined April-May newsletter that will feature some of the tools that we have shared today, and of course, much, much more. This is a great resource in and of itself. If you aren't already signed up for one, to be a part of our newsletter, please make sure you do that, because some of the things you'll get in each issue of the newsletters are short articles that link to free blog posts, podcasts, resources, tools, and courses. You'll get research nuggets that keep you in touch with what works in out of school time programming. You'll get notification about upcoming 21st CCLC NTAC activities and events designed for out of school time professionals with free registration links. You'll also get some practice tips, a calendar of events, grab and go activities, and other free, relevant, in the moment content from the 21st CCLC NTAC team and our partners at government agencies and other organizations. You'll also get access to interactive content such as opinion polls, quizzes, and surveys, links to connect with 21st CCLC NTAC social networks, and of course, introductions to subject matter experts including the members of our Technical Assistance Advisory Committee, U.S. Department of Education program staff, and other respected voices in the out-of-school time arena. Now, Brittany just dropped the link for you to subscribe to our newsletter in the chat, just in case you aren't already subscribed. Just know that the NTAC also hosts the Y for Y archives, where you can find a complete course on financial literacy that you and your staff can use to learn about how to build youth financial literacy in your program. And I think that's about it. Those are all of our resources for now. I'm going to turn it back over to Brittany.
Thank you so much, Shanika. So there are many great resources out there, and even though April is Financial Literacy Month, you can engage students in these ideas and activities all year round. And there's a lot available out there. NTAC has collated many of these resources. And so what I'm going to do is drop in the chat for you a document that has all of these listed with some tidbits about each resource and links connected to their web pages. So that's coming to you in the chat right now. But be sure to check out the NTAC newsletter. As Shanika mentioned, it's called NTAC Messenger for many of these resources and more. Please reach out to us with any questions that you might have. You can reach us at info@21stcclcntac.org. You can stay informed about what is going on by signing up for the newsletter, or you can scan the QR codes that you see on the screen. Follow us on X or LinkedIn to see what we're up to and what we are talking about. Now, before you go, we're going to ask if you could please complete the feedback poll to let us know about your experience during our first NTAC Huddle today. And then also, if you like the idea of the Huddle, we're doing more of them. We have one scheduled for April 30th. Coming up at 1 p.m. on April 30th, and we'll be taking a look at resources for positive responses to student behavior. And if you are interested in signing up for that, then you can register, and we'll drop the link for registration in the chat. So if you could just take a moment and fill out that poll for us. Oh, wonderful, Karen. We'll get that link in the chat here for you. In the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And here is the registration link for the next huddle. Thank you all for joining us today. If you have any questions, like Kathleen said in the chat here, please feel free to drop them in the chat or come off mute and talk to us about what you thought about today. I'm looking at the poll. Thank you so much for your feedback. If you haven't had a chance to answer that, please do so. And we hope that you're able to take an opportunity to use some of these resources. If not in the last few days of April, maybe in next month. Thank you, Jimmy.
Thank you, everyone.